So let's continue. I hope you did the assignment. Basically, we're going to recreate all of this via scripts. Okay, I've already done it so that we don't lose time doing the same things. And okay, you can see that I have my player status. We can actually just delete all of this except the template and the break template as well. And let's just actually, yeah, let's delete them anyway. And if we hit play, I'm going to close player status 1 and I'm going to open player status. Okay, everything works exactly fine. And it's a little bit clearer, but the most important thing is that we have actually categorized them because everything has an enum and it knows what it is. So when we're going to load an item, well, probably in this video, we're going to be able to assign the items through that. Let's go to the script. Again, we're going to create the inventory UI. We're going to use the inventory UI slot we had the previous time, and we're going to also create a new script, which is probably the most lazy way to do this. Okay, inventory UI double slot text 3, but it will also derive from the inventory slot, so that means we're also going to have the above ones. We're going to create the templates that goes for, let's hit play. That basically goes for this. If we select one of these templates, defense and resistance and all that is going to basically be the same, the same template, but basically, you can see text 1, which is the name, text 2 and text 3. Okay, simple enough. Through the UI, you can see I've deleted the vertical group for this. You can make a mix. Okay, like we have the first one, we have the vertical layout group, but for the second one I decided to go a different way, and the only thing that will matter is these grids. So I have the action at the attack power grid, which is basically this area. We have the defense absorption grid, which is this area, and we have the resistances and armor and stuff like that, which is this area. Okay, you can see their settings in the vertical layout group. Just untick both of these, and the template is basically, this is the attack power. It's the same as the one we've seen in the previous video, which has one string, two texts, one for the name and one for the numbers. And the defense template is basically 3 ones. Okay, and it uses inventory UI double slot. AP template, and actually we're not even using this, so we're not going to need this one, because we're going to use the first one, or basically I'm just making them all together. We have the slot template and the double slot template. Okay, so we're only going to need this defense template. Onto the script. On the UI, I'm going to close this. We're not going to really need them. On the inventory UI, I did a little bit of changes on our player status in it. And previously we weren't passing a string, so let's go with the changes first. All I did is pass this little thing in the end, and in here we're going to be checking if we have passed something. Okay, if we have written a name in the text one, then you can just simply change this. Well, if this is empty, it's going to assign what you have on the type. Okay, because it's probably going to be the same, but because you might want to have a little bit, differentiation, or well, you might want to have a lot more control in your names other than the attribute type you're passing. this little if statement is going to assign you either the text you're passing or the type. Okay, we always want to have something on the name. The numbers over here are always arbitrary, so yeah, we don't really need them. So previously we had this, which basically was taking a for loop, and it was just assigning on the attribute type. It was taking the enum and it was turning that into name. Now we can just do the above. It's it's hard coded, but it does the same job. So for our purposes, it's more than enough. The same over here, no need to do clever tricks, you know, adding on the index and stuff like that. We can just do hard code everything. I'm keeping the stuff I wanted. Okay, I'm keeping the empty slots because they work fine. I'm just changing that. It's not really anything special to go over each one. Okay, it's pretty clear. Pause the video if you want to see it exactly the order, but yeah, it's really pretty simple scripting. The same thing, we're going to create weapon status in it, and we're going to create another encapsulation, which is going to be create weapon status slot. And actually, before we see this, we need to be seeing the new classes which we're going to be using. And if we go, we're still on inventory UI. Okay, is break we're not really needing. Yeah, we don't need that. Delete it. We have attack defense type, which is a new enum. No, actually it's the old enum. Yeah, it's the old enum. I've only added a few more things. We have forgotten the poison on the last video. And I basically just throw in here the strike, slash and thrust, and we're going to treat the physical as the sum. Okay, I've also written this, but I'm not actually using this in this video. We might use this in the future, but yeah, okay, physical is going to be your sum, strike, slash and thrust, or at least I think I'm not using it. Yeah, I'm not using it. Okay, so player status defense, and we want to also weapon damage slot, which is this the attack power. If you want to, you can just make this attack power slot. I'm hitting Control R, and it will replace it anywhere I have it on my script. Okay, if you're not in VS, you cannot do that, probably. So you will have to go and change it manually. Okay, we have attack defense. Yeah, the rest can stay the same. It's not really nothing. I think we might not even using this. Or, yeah, I guess we're using both. Anyway, let's keep them. And in here, which is no, this is the weapon info on, let's see, on the player status. Yeah, ignore this, I had changed the name, and I only added, okay, the double slot template. We still keep our empty slot. I rename this from grid to the attack grid, or yeah, the attack grid is basically the player status, the first one that goes into, you know, into a single one. And then we have attack power grid, our defense and resistance grid, and everything in here is you know, it's in its own list basically. The attack power slot again is just a simple inventory UI slot. I wanted this to be separate though from any other list, because it's basically the our weapon 1, our weapon 2 and stuff like that, so it's a little bit easier. So if I want to say the third type of attack on my left weapon, okay, it's the 6th entry inside this list. Now let's go up. This is the encapsulation. Okay, so I basically just say create a weapon status slot, assign it on the list of the slots I want, parent it under the grid I want, and the UIs just take everything, just assign everything where they want, and I'm assigning the attack defense type and their name. And we have another one for the create attack power, which basically just assigns it on a slot, on a grid, and the name. To create a weapon status slot, it's almost the same like the previous one we had, the attack defense UI element. Okay, and we want basically player status defense, transform, attack defense type, okay, and we're passing the name. We're creating a new class, we're instantiating the template, okay, we're enabling it, we're going to parent it under the parent we're passing, we update the type, we find the slot, we're changing the name, depending on if we're passing, or otherwise it's going to take it from the defense type and just update this the other two texts. For the attack power slot, it's really simple, just because we're not passing type, because we don't have any type, I'm just going to assign the ID and 30 in here. Okay, it can't be any more straightforward, it's just a little bit of repeated work. It's not really anything. Yeah, it's hard-coded, yeah, we could have done it a little bit more elegantly, but you know, it works. For our purposes, it's going to work also fine, so why bother with it anymore? And we have our UI, or well, any entry for our UI is ready. Now, let's start with our inventory. I'm pretty sure we probably forgot to add a few things, but to test this, we basically want to load an item. Before we load an item, we're going to go into our resources. Let's see what we have. We have our weapons, we have our spell items. Okay, we have all of this. We're not going to touch any of this, but what I want to do is to have, maybe we can just break it apart. So if I want to load the icon, the item description, and then my stats, or well, you know, we should probably break it up into a few different sections, and yeah, maybe a light version for the items that has the item name, the item description, and the item icon. Okay, and if I want to load any of the other stuff, that basically go into the weapon stats. We're probably not going to need this. And yeah, I'm going to be loading this the stuff from here. Of course, this will have to go with the player status and the effects that are going to have. So we might going to have to think about it a little bit. Anyway, let's focus on creating the lighter version of our items, in short. Anyway, okay, let's go and create an items list, items, and actually no, I want to call this items scriptable object. This is going to be also a scriptable object. No, actually, yeah, this is going to be scriptable. Delete all of this, and let's open up. Let's also add a namespace. Let's take one of these. Let's see which one should be a little bit cleaner, and maybe we can just take the consumables. Take this. Yeah, we have this onto our inventory manager. Okay, let's keep, you know, let's stay a little bit consistent. So I'm going to say system, not sim, system.serializable public class yeah, actually we already have the item. And yeah, well, maybe we can just utilize this item name. Yeah, so I'm going to add one more, and or before I do that, I'm going to do Ctrl+R, and if you are not in VS, you're going to have to change all the items everywhere we have used this before by hand, otherwise you're going to have errors. And I'm going to call this item ID. Okay, so now if I do final references, you can see that you're going to have to go and change all this by hand. Okay, if you're having problems, just pause the video, although you're probably going to get errors because this doesn't exist. And yeah, you're going to have to go and change them by hand. I'm going to go into all my items now, and I'm going to make this, one, and I'm going to also say item ID. This is going to bring a few conflicts, so I'm going to just delete the inheritance from the item. Same for the spell. Public string item ID, and same for the consumables, public string item ID. We won't need a new class, we have our items. So basically the item ID is going to be responsible for linking this with their item. But we also want to have a name for our item, so we're going to say, I'm purposely writing this name ID instead of item name instead of item name, just so that you don't confuse it with the rest of, because if you write this way and you haven't yet changed all the previous item names, you're going to have a little bit of conflict there, because you'll be using the new string, but the item ID is what we were using before. So let's see what these errors are. Yeah, and it's basically the icon because it requires the icon. So we have weapon instance, random weapon. Now we need to just write a few more things before we are done. So for this scriptable object, we're going to have public list item. Okay, and we're going to say items all. Save this. We need to open our resources, we'll probably have to fix this as well. So I'm going to put a bookmark, and I'm going to change this to null. Okay, and I'm going to say pass icon. And this is just for now. We're going to do, we can just do comment this. Let's see. Yeah. Save until we are done, because we need to take care of all the errors. We actually might not even need this, but just to be safe, let's make. Okay, you can see the item ID updated by itself. Let's put a bookmark, and we'll decide in the future if we want to keep this or not. no errors. Into our scriptables, we need to have our scriptable object manager. Let's take all of this. Let's bring it on top. Let's say create item list scriptable object, and instead of the weapon scriptable object, we want to pass the item scriptable objects items. Okay, before we do that, let's see items all. Awesome. Close this. Let's see what the error is. Oh yeah, we have a duplicate name, so we're going to say create items list. I'm going to open another tab on the inspector, and I'm going to go assets, assets, inventory, create items list, and we have our items list. Okay, we're here. I'm going to log this. I'm going to log my items. The reason why I'm not loading them or not including them on the same game object as this or the other ones, okay, is because, well, it's because I don't want, if I want to load this game object, I don't want to load all of this. Okay, so if I want to load something, this is much more smaller file to load than loading all your lists. And come to think of it, I want to change the scriptable object, and instead of having all of them inside one list, I want to have them, for example, I want to have them spell items, public list, item, weapon items, and public. This is not entirely necessary, but I think it's going to be simpler to organize. Spell items, weapon items, and consumables. Yeah, consumables, consumable items. And in the future we're going to add equipment and stuff like that. Now technically you can just include them on their own separate. I guess it shouldn't make much difference. Like include them in here, the spell item list, which only holds the item ID. Let's see, maybe this. Okay, let's keep them separate, but depending on how many items you want to have, how many you want to use, you might just can get away with just including them onto a single, into a single scriptable object per case, per type. So spell items in here, weapon items in here, and so on and so on. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Okay, decide for yourself. I cannot really make a decision at this point. Decide for yourself. If you want to have them into one scriptable object, then you can do it. Otherwise, do it like this. Okay, so, well, basically what I want to do is, let's see how many weapons we have. And now we need to, of course, update their IDs. This one is the unarmed, which we don't really care about. And this one should probably be, let's say, it's the sword. Okay. Rapier, great sword. This is probably, this Pyroman's Flame. You can just write Pyro. The item ID is no longer going to be on your items, and this can be sealed. Okay, so let's make sure we have, we should probably update this one as well. or just write great sword, sword, and an arm. Yeah, this can stay as it is. That will mean we have 3 items or 5 items, 5 weapons. For example, let's take them all one by one. Let's call this, let's go with sword. I don't care about the unarmed because we're not going to be using it a lot. Oops. Name item, how you want to call it. Okay, sword of Utopia. Item description. Okay. And the icon is what you're going to be using. So it will be sword. Let's make one of these again. One more. You're going to have to make these ones. Sword of accent. Okay, you're going to have to write these ones yourself, or the rest. I'm only going to make a few of these, so you'll take as an assignment to fix the rest. Okay, I think with just 3 should be enough. Let's delete the other ones. Spell items. Let's go. I'm going to make only one. Doesn't really matter. And the first one, it's fireball. The ID has to be the same as any other place you'll be having it. Name item, you can just write anything you want. Fireball. And item description, and the icon fireball. Okay, you got the idea. For consumables items, let's just do one more consumable. Let's do the bestus. We only want the bestus. Bestus, your bestus friend in dire situations. Okay, straight to the point. So because we're going to get a few errors if we run this at this time, and I'm going to basically just make this into a sword, and let's say, yeah, let's add sword again. I don't really care. Let's only add fireball, and let's only keep the bestus. Now I don't want this anymore. We can close this one, something like that. Let's open resources manager, script manager, wrong one, resources manager. Okay, and we have these ones. We're also going to add one more dictionary, string integer item IDs. Okay, and we get the item IDs. Let's spell IDs. We're going to basically do the same thing. So, oops, that will be void load items. Let's do this, and we want item scriptable object, item scriptable object, item scriptable object. Let's change this just for the fun of it, I guess. And you can see that the object itself, it already has spell items. Okay, so basically, yeah, because we have 3 different lists, we need to make 3 different dictionaries. So we're going to say item, or let's go with I, spells, dictionary, string, integer, I, weapons, and dictionary, string, integer, I, consumables, new, dictionary, integer. Okay, awesome. So we need to change this from, instead of spell IDs, I spells, and yeah, and this should be I spells. Load spell IDs, load weapon IDs. We want this only. This one doesn't have weapon soul, but it has weapon items, weapon items, and this will be I weapons, and this again I weapons. And finally we want our consumables. Take all of this. Let's see. It doesn't have consumables, but it has consumable items. All of it like this, and I consumables, I consumables. Okay. Awesome. So maybe we can just we can encapsulate this as well, and instead of using this, we can say integer get index from string, and if we pass the dictionary and the ID, we can say integer index will start from -1. We don't need to pass, we don't need to include it as an if statement. We can just do to try get value ID out index, and then return the index. In theory this will work fine, because we can just pass the get ID from string. Let's see in here. So let's let's copy paste that. Let's comment this out, and let's say integer index equals get index from string. This is the weapon, so we need to pass the weapon IDs. Yeah, it's not the item, and the ID is the ID. Okay, so deleting this, we're not going to need that. We encapsulate it even more. Let's do the same for this one as well. Let's find the error, should be in here, and this one should be now be integer index equals get index from string. The dictionary should be weapon stats IDs and ID. Delete this one as well. And again, we want this now. Integer index get index from string. The dictionary, this will be spell IDs, ID. Delete this again. Get consumable final one. Integer index get index from string. Consumable IDs, and pass the ID. Let's delete this one as well, because who cares. Okay, and now we have even fewer code. But we can also use this for the items. So let's say I want to load, and let's see. yeah, let's say public item get weapon item string ID. First I need to get the index, so that will be get index from string ID. Well, first I need to load the scriptable object actually, so that will be item scriptable object resources dot load, let's say dot item scriptable object. This is case sensitive, but you probably already know that. And okay, get index. The dictionary, we know, because we're using this, we know this is a weapon at this point, so we can say we want weapons ID, and let's see if index equals -1, return null, otherwise return object dot weapon items index. Copy paste all this 3 times, or well, yeah, let's not copy paste that. Let's say get item. I don't remember if we have public in an item type, but well, we're now going to weapon spell consumable, and then we can just go with headgear or equipment, but it's going, yeah, we'll see for equipment what we're going to do later. So if we also pass item type, we can say switch type on, we don't need, on the default it's going to return you null. Equipment, yeah, equipment, let's leave the equipment. Okay, and this will be spell items, and this will be consumable items. And we have something that doesn't return, and that is the equipment. So let's also write, although I think you cannot fall through to the default. Oh yeah, you can. Okay, no problem there. Awesome. Okay, so if it's equipment, it's just going to return you to null until we have something over here. I think we'll be clear of errors at this point. Yeah. Let's change the places where we have to do the changes. I'm going to open my bookmark window, which is over here, but I'm just going to place it in here because there's some stuff we don't really care about. In here, yeah, we don't need this. Forget this. Yeah, we don't need this. We don't need this as well. Equip consumables. Okay, here where we need our items. So we want to have item I. We know it's going to be. Let's call this. Let's keep it I. Singleton. Oops. Get item. The ID. We have the ID. It's in consumable I. Let's see what we have in here. The consumable, the instance is here. So that will be dot instance dot item ID. So that means we can just yeah, we need to also pass the item type, and that will be consumable. And also we can bring this back. Let's remove the bookmark, let's delete this, and instead of having it from the actual runtime weapon, I can say i.icon copy paste all this here. This one now is a spell, so that will be spell. We don't have a consumable, but we have a spell. For the spells, let's see, we have an instance. Yeah, if we keep the same namespace, or well, the same names. So Control R, again, as I said, you have to change them by hand, all of them, if you are not in VS. But well, you know, you brought it on yourself for not being in VS. But anyway, okay, so we have all of this. We have instance, item ID, now it's a spell, UI. Well, as you can see that this is almost the same code, so we could just encapsulate it a little bit even more, but you know, that's life. And over here we can again do the same thing. Item, UI. We don't have a weapon, so that will be W. Instance stays the same, item ID stays the same, item spell, this should be now a weapon. Update slot, and for your icon you're just going to pass the icon. Awesome. That's where it ends. So all this trouble for pretty much not really much of a change. I'm going to close this one, and if we hit play, I'm going to just check if there's any errors, and there are. Let's see why. Argument cannot be null. What is this? Something is wrong here. Okay, we'll see what that is. Oh, I think it's because we might have something on the unarmed, because probably this also runs on the unarmed. Let's say debug.log w.instance.itemid, and if it's the unarmed, then that one is going to be. We also have a duplicate item on spell IDs on the spells. Let's see. Spell items, we have fireball. Oh, yeah, it's the elements. So this will be fire breath, and this will be dark shield or whatever. And let's see, weapon. Okay, weapons are correct. And let's change this to Bestus focus, and let's change this to souls. Let's hit play. Okay, something comes in here when it's null. Let's see where we're calling this. Right hand weapon, left hand weapon, R and L. Let's go into our inventory. Inventory, we have sword, fireball, Bestus. So why it's null? Let's also add on our items on our weapon items, let's add the unarmed as well. Because I thought a nice description. Yeah, I probably should have cleared this. Okay. Now this is kind of a weird thing, or I'm missing something. Right hand weapon. Yeah, let's debug them. Bug.log right hand weapon dot instance dot, unless we forgot to, let's say, unless we forgot to update this one somewhere. But no, I think we didn't. Oh yeah, I know where this is going to show. This will probably show if we, yeah, you can see that these are empty, so we forgot to update this. So to fix that we need to go, let's delete this one, and let's go to, well, weapon to runtime weapon. Okay, weapon to runtime weapon. We just changed the name ID, but I think we don't change. Yeah, on the deep copy, so probably, yeah. So this will be to dot item ID from dot item ID. Let's remove this. I don't really care. Save. Let's see now. We might have to update it. Okay, this one works. Let's see what doesn't work. It yeah, this is probably, yeah, okay, that's what I said. It's case sensitive. I was missing the S, so it couldn't find the scriptable object. In this case you should also put an object, null debug .log just so you know it comes from there. And there we are, we have everything. Let's open the game UI, and you can see we have also our icons, fireballs and stuff like that. Let's add, on my controller I'm going to add the great sword as well, just to make sure we can change items. Yeah, I need to open the game UI as well. Game UI, and it doesn't change, so that means we probably forgot to get all the places. We have to change that. Let's see. Tip copy consumable. Yeah, we don't want this. Maybe not here. We've covered this, so let's remove that. Let's leave this. Inventory manager. Equipped. Oh, where is the equipped? Equipped. Or actually, I'm going to say great sword. Okay, the item ID is correct. Let's check on the items. Sword, great sword. Okay, those are correct. The unarmed also has great sword, but I want this to be null. And yeah, equipped. Where is the equipped? Oops. Equipped weapon. Left hand. UI update slot. Instance.item ID. Let's see what this is going to return us. Hit play. I should probably open and leave this open. Okay. Yeah, this one returns correct, so it's probably somewhere else that we need to change this. And I also see the item, yeah, I also found another bug, so that will mean we can use our notes and say consumable item appears when playing the, there's a T missing, the change weapon animation. Okay, and we'll fix that later. It's not important at this point. Right now, and over here, let's say get item weapon instance item ID. This was correct. And update slot i.icon. Let's see what happens in here. Get slot. Yeah, that's correct too. So I don't really know what's happening. Let's see if we write a debug log, if we can actually get it also. Icon dot, let's see what this is going to return us. And I want to add sprite, make sure it's coming from the sprite. Sword sprite. So there's something that yeah, we don't update something is missing in here. Like you can see that even though we update the bug.log, let's do instance.item ID, we get a different sprite. Let's see though if we do a debug.log i.item ID, what that's going to return us, just in case the get item doesn't work properly. And I'm going to say the item ID scriptable. Okay, so the first one is the runtime weapon, the second one is the scriptable, and the third one is the name of the sprite. The first one is correct. I'm going to clear. So here's the problem. Great sword. The scriptable is still holding the sword scriptable, so we have something wrong in here. Let's go on the get item. We load the scriptable. We get index from string. And yeah, this is the wrong thing. As you can see, I'm getting everything from the same dictionary, which is not what we want. So that will be dictionary string integer target. I think, yeah, let's go with D. It's going to be null, and we're going to have, actually, yeah, let's do it this way, doesn't matter. Let's copy that. Let's start with -1. Delete this, we don't want this. Okay, and we want to say index, get the index from string ID, and the dictionary we want is I weapons. If you want to be, more careful, you can say Actually, we don't even need this. 2. If index equals -1, return null. Okay, copy all that. Yeah, I guess you can do an encapsulation, but you'll have to do another switch statement, so, you know, who cares. I spells. And final one should be I consumables. Okay, and then you return that. Although, yeah, I'm not entirely happy. Let's encapsulate, let's write it a little bit clearer. Okay, this is going to work, but okay, let's say we are not lazy, and let's write it again. Direct dictionary should be return null, so this one should be I weapons. Delete all of these. Do a break. Delete this too. And this. And we want to do a break in here. Let's say D will be I spells. Oops. Break. D will be I consumables. And this shouldn't return. This just going to do a break. And we should say if D is null, then return null, and we can get the index now. Bring it down here. Index, and we can do now. Yeah, I actually forgot what we want to do. Or we can say get index from string. We have the dictionary and we want the ID. Okay, if index is -1, return null, otherwise return D index. There you go. And yeah, I didn't think this. Damn it. Okay, let's add a list. The list is going to have an item. I'm going to say L, I'm going to say null, and the list on the weapons is going to be object dot weapon items. The list on the spells is going to be object dot spell items. L will be object dot consumable items. Okay, and then you'll be getting this from the L. And if you want to be also sure, although yeah, that's probably never going to happen, return null. So this will probably fix this problem. We'll see. Hit play. Let's clear. Okay, great sword. Damn it. Item ID scriptable. I don't know what is actually happening. Get index from string. Try get value, the ID, output it on the index, and the index should be in there. For the most part, from what I can tell, this is correct. Then what did we mess up? Get index from string. Let's do a debug log with the index, just in case. For the sword is 0. For the great sword it's not 0. That's actually a problem. We might have messed up the loading. Oh, yeah, of course we messed up the loading because we're never calling the loading. Silly. Okay, load items. Now it should be correct. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So let's finish this here. Okay, we still have a ton of stuff to do, but you can see that we now have a separate list and all this nice stuff for our inventory. So yeah, on the next one we're going to load our inventory. Before we go, let's remove all our debug logs because we don't need them. Everything works, surprisingly. Save, close, save, and we're done. So, you know what to do. If you are new and you don't know, then subscribe, like the video so we get more visibility, share it with your friends, family, acquaintances, and everyone else you might want. And if you also like to see more, if you like to see them much earlier than when they're going live on YouTube, then you can support me on Patreon, which also helps me keep making all this. Okay, as you can see, we spent hours and hours on end just doing nice stuff. And the other way you can support me, of course, is via Gumroad by buying a project or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, you know. And yeah, including this one. I'll see you on the next one.